Hello and welcome to the Hobby Heap. My name is Connor and today I'm going to be painting the Lumineth Realmlord duo Ellania and Ellathor. But I don't just want to paint these guys up and be done with it. I'm actually painting this as a gift for my partner, and so I want to make a cool woodland diorama for them. So I start by using my tremendous art skills to sketch out an idea of what I want. I want to make a tree and put the miniature on a raised platform, like a rocky outcrop. I make a couple of outstanding sketches that should be in the Louvre. And settle on this final one, which looks exactly like the other two. So first off, I start by making the tree. I grabbed some wire from my local hobby store and began by cutting them up into similar sized strips. I twist these together with some pliers from the middle, leaving the top and bottom separate. These will become the roots and the branches, so on one end I split the wires into groups of two and twist them together to make the roots. After that I splay them out so that the tree stands by itself. On the other end, I again split them into pairs and twist them together to create a tree-like silhouette. And for my first ever wire armature tree, I don't think it's bad, but I don't love it, and it feels way too big for what I want. So I try again, this time using green florist wire, which was definitely easier to twist and manipulate. Using the same methods as before, I'll make this little guy, which I am much happier with. I grab my model and some scrap foam and try and visualise how I want it to look, testing out how far away I want the miniature to be from the tree. And then I just started cutting and breaking bits of foam off using my hobby knife and my fingers to create rips and tears in the foam until I somehow created this oval shaped rock with a slight incline. Sometimes you have to go into a project and just start doing bits and not overthinking it to create these natural shapes. I use foam board for the base and cut around my rock shape, again creating a sort of oval shaped base. I bevel the edges using my hobby knife, which is where you cut and file the edges to make a slope around the foam board. Now, let's return to the tree. I use Milliput, which is a 2-part epoxy putty, and put this all over my wire tree. Milliput comes as 2 separate sausages of putty. You cut off an equal amount of each and mix them together to create the final product. Putting this all over the tree takes a long time, but it's an integral part of the process. After the tree is covered, I take my finger and dip it into some water, rubbing this all over the Milliput to smooth out and get rid of as many fingerprint marks as possible. I then take some tin foil and scrunch it into a ball and roll this all over the Milliput. My plan here was to create some texture on the bark of the tree. I've seen others use a wire brush for this step, which would create a much better tree texture, but I could only really use what I had on hand. After the Milliput has had plenty of time to dry, I hot glue my foam rock onto the foam board base and the tree onto my foam rock. I then grab my Mod Podge and black paint mix and slap this all onto the foam areas. This will help to protect the foam and also acts as a base coat. After this is dried, I use Vallejo Dark Earth texture paint and place this all over the base as well as on the top of the rocky plateau. It's important here to get it into the crevices underneath the rock as well as over the roots to make it look like the tree has been here for many years. I prime the model using Vallejo Black Surface Primer through my airbrush before giving it a light misting with a white ink so my contrast paints will adhere better to the surfaces. Now, it's time to put some paint down. I start by using the contrast paint Wildwood on all of the tree before using a watered down Rhinox hide on the base. I then used Eshin Grey on all of the exposed rock parts. After this, I use Agrax Earthshade all over the mud parts and Nuln Oil on the rocks. Once the shades have dried, I dry brush the mud using Mornfang Brown. I dry brush the rock using Dawnstone. And I dry brush the tree with Dryad Bark. Everything then gets a lighter dry brush using Xandri Dust. To make the foliage of the tree, I started by using this rich green lichen as the basis for all the smaller branches and greenery. I initially used super glue for this, but it just wasn't working at all. So I quickly switched to hot glue, using small amounts so it didn't get too messy and show through too much on the final product. I purchased a Woodland Scenics landscaping kit from my local hobby store and decided to try out as much as I could. The first thing was this scenic cement that comes in a spray bottle. I covered the base with some kitchen roll and then sprayed the scenic cement all over the lichen to hold it together and make it stronger. This also allowed me to stick some other bits of foliage to the lichen to build it up. I tried the medium clump foliage that came in the box, but it wasn't sticking very well. So I turned to the medium green coarse accent to start. And then finished it off with some green blended turf. After this, I brushed some watered down PVA glue onto the base. Adding some of the green blended turf to begin. followed by dropping some more watered down PVA glue and sprinkling some green static grass on top. I love the two-tone green vibe here, and I really think it makes it look very summery and warm. I repeated this process on top of my rocky plateau. Now I'm not 100% sure why, maybe I went a bit overboard with it, but the scenic cement did end up leaving some white patches on the tree trunk and on some of the branches. I covered this up using the old reliable dirty down moss. I put this on the white patches, as well as covering up some of the hot glue that was still visible. After this, I absolutely covered the base in plant life, using Army Painter and Citadel grass tufts, as well as Gamer's grass flowers of all varieties and some green shrubbery. I finished the base with a Gamer's Grass laser cut Monstera plant, as this is my girlfriend's favourite plant, and I thought it'd be a nice touch. Now it was time for the miniature. I started by giving it the usual black base coat and white ink zenithal using my airbrush. After this, I painted the trim of the armour, the sword blade and the staff tip using Stormhost silver. Retributor armour was used for any gold details. After this, I mixed Skeleton Horde contrast paint with a little bit of medium to thin it down, and applied this all over the armour of Ellathor, the decorate pieces on Ellania, and any other areas that were going to be painted brown. Ellathor's clothes and a few wavy bits on Ellania were painted using Xantry dust. Any other brown areas, such as Ellania's boots and Ellathor's hair, were painted using Rhinox hide. Ellathor's cloak and Ellania's robes were painted using Lothern blue. Cadian flesh tone was used for the skin. The tassels and ribbons were painted using Teclis blue. The model was really starting to come together now, but I wasn't very happy with how the armour and the trim came out, so I went round and painted the armour in white scar. This took a couple of thin down coats. And then, tragedy struck. Ellania broke off, which was super annoying at the time, but it did allow me to get to areas on Ellathor's back I couldn't get to before, and it actually made painting the duo a lot easier. Sometimes these things happen, and we just have to look at the positives and move on. So, I fixed the back of Ellathor, including his hair and cloak, and then I covered the armour in Agrag's Earthshade. I tried to do this sparingly and not let it settle too much on any one area. I just wanted a slight tinting to the armour. The sword handle and the sun motif on his chest were painted using Flesh Terror's red contrast. The skin was shaded using Ryclone Flesh Shade, and Drakenhof Nightshade was used on all the blue areas, so the cloak, the tassels, as well as Ellania's stylish jumpsuit. I also put this on the sword blade and the top of the staff. I then came back in with White Scar to highlight the armour after the Agrax wash. After this, I used a 1-to-1 mix of Stormhost Silver and Retributor armour for the armour trim, as well as using this to highlight the original gold areas. Ellathor's hair and Ellania's boots were dry brushed using Mournfang Brown. I then watered down some Lothern Blue and layered this on the cloak and the jumpsuit, aiming for the higher areas and avoiding the deeper recesses. I also used this colour to highlight the darker blue areas on both characters. The flesh got a quick highlight using Cadian Flesh Tone. and with that, Ellathor was complete. I used the same methods to finish off Ellania, including painting the staff handle in white scar. And here is the complete diorama. I'm extremely happy with how this turned out. I tried loads of new techniques here, and as always, there are many things I can improve on for next time. But I think it looks great, and it looks better than I'd originally imagined in my head. If you haven't already, please consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel to join me on my mission to complete my pile of shame. I've also set up a Ko-fi account if you'd like to donate a few pennies my way. This will help me keep the lights on and buy some new paints or brushes, and again, that would mean the world to me. The link is in the description. Thanks again everyone, and I'll catch you next time on the Hobby Heap.